Rise Up with Janeena Chan. And today we have a very, very important topic to talk about. And we've invited one of my, one of my interviewees before turned friend, now one of my guests. I've interviewed him before for one of our events at Chinoy TV. And yeah, it's been a pleasure being connected still via, online. It's good that we've kept in touch. He is none other than the COO of Foodee Global Concepts, Eric Dee. He's been with the F&B industry for quite some time now. You've been in the family, right? Pun intended. The D family, which is, you've been involved in the F&B industry for so long now, being one of the most successful here in the country. So congratulations with that. And yeah, they're responsible for popular restaurants, some of our most favorite comfort food ever. Just the sound of them makes them hungry now. So for example, like Mesa Pound, Tim Ho Wan, Hawker Chan, Sunny's Cafe, Bench Cafe, and so many more. They just keep on going. Now I'm hungry. But anyway, also the co-founder of Craver's Canteen, a new multi-brand cloud kitchen that's been operating since actually last year, I believe, and also involved in other lifestyle brands such as Sunny's and many more. So hi, Eric. Wow, for those watching via video, you'll see that he is blessed to be in the tropics, like outdoors. So hi, how are you?
Hi, Janeena. Thank you for always having me. I'm excited to share some insight and hopefully help your viewers or listeners to tread on life. Life has filled with bumps, but it makes life exciting, I guess.
Wow, gusto ko yun. Wow, so positive. Well, that's good that we're starting this podcast episode on that very positive and high note. So yeah, it gives us hope already. Okay, so in a way, I would kind of coin this as like a career talk episode. I guess this is very important kasi syempre, no? I mean, wow, this whole pandemic, it still hasn't ended. What? But hopefully sooner than later with all the vaccines, and we can see that the cases are dropping anyway. But still, it doesn't. The fact is still that a lot of people still are lost. Either they've been, they've been laid off, or for others naman nakaka-graduate pa lang, they don't know what to do, where to go. What do they pursue? Do they pursue what's essential, or do they pursue their passions? So we're going to talk about as much as we can. I know we are in need for some light here. So maybe from the POV of also being a boss, for those who are managing their own businesses, being the CEO of the company, we'll talk about that too. And also, as an employee, maybe you're looking for a new job, how to be more employable, maybe, right? Do you have to do it all para, diba, talaga you're hired? So, okay, before anything else, how are you? How have your brands been? How have your businesses been adjusting to this new normal?
Thanks, Janeena. Well, so far, I think you're right. 2020 happened. For some reason, that was like the initial shock. And then everyone just reacted, pivoted, kind of did what they had to do just to get done with 2020. Not realizing that 2021 coming in was an extension of what we knew as 2020. It's a little bit harder now in 2021, just because, it's a realization now, right? Before we were trying out new things, get through 2020, but now in 2021 you're realizing that you have to do certain things now, that you have to change, you have to close particular stores. That's the hardest part.
Sakit, diba? Especially for others na they really poured out all their time, money, resources.
You know what, in the restaurant industry, F&B, if you remember, parang ang tagal na. But if you remember in 2019, brands were opening left and right. World-class brands coming into the country, opening restaurants, right? For us, personally, we were opening 2 restaurants every month. That was like, we were looking at 2020 with the brightest,
Yes, it sounds so iconic. Yeah, 2020
Everyone,
sounds so legit.
Parang, sige, 2020 will be banner year.
Yeah.
But then, the pandemic happened, right? It was tough. I think 2020, it's done. 2021, let's move forward. Yun nga, I hope that yung vaccine, I personally have done the vaccine. I think that would help. Psychologically, it helped me. Diba? That first jab na parang, okay, at least okay, now you feel a little bit psychologically that you're a step closer. But where we're still far, but then we're still dealing with everything that we have to deal with and of opening the economy and whatnot. So tough times, but of course we have to think positive.
Yes. Okay. So it starts there, thinking positive and maybe getting vaccinated if pwede for you. Because I understand other people with other health conditions, parang mas ano yata, complicated. So we're praying for you, Kapit. Okay. So speaking of that, Kapit, paano ba kumapit? So like how do we move on from this? How do we, maybe what do you want to start off with, Muna? Like, maybe for those who have lost their jobs, maybe. Or for either that, and also for fresh graduates.
I think good question. I mean, let's start off with the people that lost their jobs, and we know that there's a lot. In our network alone, we've had to kind of like have people work on lesser days just because operationally we're not open the whole week for some restaurants, and we know that it's a reality that we have to face. Luckily, I think for people that have drive. At the end of the day, we can teach people what to do and how to do things. But if you don't have that drive to really pursue something, then it will be difficult, right?
Okay.
With technology nowadays, yan yung gusto kong ma-realize ng taos. Like, our digitalization was really pushed forward.
Yeah.
Right?
We were forced to evolve.
We were heading towards it already, but because of the pandemic, everything talaga pushed fast forward, which was good. But it didn't need to take a pandemic to make that happen, right? But yun nga, like nowadays, when it comes to food, at least the homemakers are beginning to pop up, right? Yung mga favorite luto ni nanay na sinasabi niyo sa mga kaibigan niyo, na pinagmamalaki niyo sa lahat ng kaibigan niyo, na nako, pag binenta ng nanay ko to, yayaman kami.
Yes.
Then bakit hindi niyo gawin ngayon?
Tama.
Right?
Nice.
People that were saying that, nako, ang ganda ko, dapat maging artista ako.
Yes.
Right?
Influencer na kayo.
Hindi mo na kailangan pumunta ng bigger TV stations. You have the avenue of YouTube. You have the avenue of social media to become your own star.
Nice.
So what I'm saying is that there's always the tools to have within your reach to do so, right?
That's true.
It needs to be driven. You have to have, seek what you want and do it. Right. So, I mean, there's a lot. And for me, those are examples that I could think of, like, being an influencer, right? That's a thing now. It's a career.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
How to monetize through it, study it, learn it, and do it. Right? You'll never know. You'll never know what you'll be successful with until you try.
Okay, so I guess that's one very concrete example. Really maximizing the digital space and take a space in that, diba? And be more aggressive.
Yeah, you could open Facebook stores, you can open Instagram stores. It's all there already. So you're lazy already if you're not checking out what's available for you to use and monetize from in the time that you're just sitting down at home and quarantining yourself, right? Make yourself productive. Right? Again, at the end of the day, that's gets you thinking. In fact, for us, when we're quarantined, Craver's Canteen, it was an idea. It was an idea born out of what we felt that was going to be the next big thing, delivery. People are now, we were already getting deliveries before. Pero ngayon, parang it's just becoming a little bit more easier, more convenient, especially yung mga quarantines natin, biglang nagla-lockdown, biglang nawawala yung lockdown. And for a restaurant, that's very difficult. Kasi from a dine-in aspect, biglang magsasara, but we still want to be able to deliver. So it's a very tough thing that the restaurants have been dealing with, and that's why we feel that baka etong chance we can figure something out to make it better.
Nice.
And yun,
so
came out the ideas of Craver's Canteen.
Craver's Canteen, the Cloud Kitchen, and then not only Cloud Kitchen, you also have mga new normal supplies, diba? And things people need basically. And I think that's one great thing to ask: what do people need? And that should be what you can offer. I mean, right? What value are you going to...
I think it's been repeated all the time.
Yeah.
Find a problem and try to provide a solution that's unique to everyone else. I've been, being in this startup industry, I was, lucky enough to experience all these, people that were, what problem are you solving, right?
Yes.
How do you solve it, right?
Okay.
Those
Parang math
ideas.
lang. Problem solving. So ayan na guys, listen up and yeah, maghanap kayo ng problems dyan. And be the hero to solve it, diba?
It should be good if it's your own personal problem. Para you have na feel mo yung galit or
Yeah,
yung
you
hirap.
got been
Diba?
there. I want to be part of the solution. And then
Yeah,
at the same time, you also
exactly.
help the community. Yeah, nice. So yeah, that's very, very important. So thank you for that. How about for, I don't know, like let's make it a little bit more specific. Ano ba, how do people like, paano ba yung hiring industry now? Coming from your own personal experiences, do you still look at the mga portfolio, resumes, or better ba na they're more, ano ba, mas magaling mag-multitask, mas maraming talents and abilities para isang tao na lang kasi since, diba, better nga na less people. What's your take on that?
In our industry, particularly for restaurant, we still need people that are going to be in the stores. So that's why it's a little bit difficult for us, particularly because industries are now going to work from home. So as an
Yeah.
employee, I'm having to kind of like, bakit ako magtatrabaho dun sa restaurant kung pwede naman ako mag-work from home, right? And that's becoming a competition now. Oh, work from home ba yan? Kung ayaw, okay, I'll find something that provides work from home, right? Because it's now an option. Previously, that's not even considered.
Yeah, even for
right?
me, like as a host,
Exactly, right?
like
So
I'd rather be
now work
hosting from home.
figuring it out. So there
Yeah.
has to be some way that, for us also optimizing. Again, you mentioned na multitasking na dapat talaga.
Yeah.
Like we're running on bare minimum of the people that we need to. Kasi again, survival na lang to, right? We're still not seeing a lot of people going out because again, it's still not safe.
Okay, so better to have more
medyo, yun nga,
skills.
sabi mo, kapit pa. They'll have to kind of like malayo pa yung laban.
Oh, okay. So at least, unfortunately,
but that's why you have to be aware of it, or else
masasaktan
or
ka
else you
lalo.
won't
Para love life lang. Yung on and off relationship niyo hanggang ano pa. What do you think? What's your forecast? For like this on and off relationship with the pandemic?
I think it's gonna be like the flu seasonal. It's gonna come and go. As you can see naman, yung mga other countries na around us are seeing spikes. And again, it happens naturally when you open up the borders, right? Naturally when you feel too complacent and still not being fully vaccinated, and the country at least not being up to herd immunity.
Yes.
So I think, there's some countries that I saw, like I have friends in other countries that nung magla-lockdown sila, parang sabi nila, sige, magkain tayo ng buffet bago mag-lockdown. That parang kala nila na isahan nila yung virus when like, it's not, they didn't want to lock down because they didn't want you to eat buffet, but because to stop you guys from spreading everything.
Yeah.
So it's hard, for us also, sa Pilipinas tayo, na-experience natin at its peak. We're doing, numbers at 15,000. It got crazy. A relative or a friend that passed away because of this virus, right? So yung fear sa atin became real for the Philippines at least. So when you go to the other countries, yung anxiety mo hindi the same as sa kanila. You know what I mean? Diba? Parang you're extra OA about things or being clean about things is not normal to people that did not experience those peaks that we experienced in the Philippines.
Oh,
so you'll have to consider that, diba?
Grabe, no?
So it's tough. How do you go back, diba, to that anxiety-less world?
Yeah, I know. It's but a dream for now. So, ayan. So at least
Tingnan mo pa yung mga pictures mo from past. Parang, oh my God, the feeling that we had at that time.
Yeah. So ayan, for those watching via video, at least, diba, may mga paraan. Maghanap ng bahay sa, malapit sa beach. Good thinking. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. So I guess never be complacent. Think about like the bigger picture na, better na, just like an athlete. It's a marathon. It's not just a sprint, diba? Marathon mentality. Take breaks if you have to, pero balik tayo sa trabaho kahit pa paano, much as we can.
Be aware of the problem.
Be aware of the problems and be smart with deciding, no? Kasi mahirap na mas konti na nga yung resources. Tapos paano na for those na who want biglang to be a startup entrepreneur and ngayon pa of all the times. For others, that can be pretty overwhelming, especially for those na talagang wala tong business background masyado. What are your tips for them? Na kunyari, either, I don't know, they got like maybe parang funding from their parents na limited, or even those na parang yun na nga that got laid off, may separation pay, tapos yun na nga lang yun, kinakapitan nila, pero pinag-iisipan nila anong gagamitin, parang will I invest na lang or ano ba, gagawa ba ako ng business? What is your advice for times like that, investments and new beginnings?
For me personally, as an entrepreneur, I thrive in taking risks, but taking calculated risks.
Especially now in a risky situation.
In reality, I don't know, it might sound cliche, but the best ideas were born out of a piece of paper or a napkin from a restaurant. Ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, it's about how you execute it. Right.
Okay.
Access wise, like you say, funding and whatnot, there's so much. When we started this business like Craver's Canteen, looking out for funding, there are so much interest in the country. And most of the time they invest in the founders more than the idea itself. Yes, the idea, nandyan yan. But sa totoo lang, when we meet with these people na magbibigay sa'yo ng funding or mag-guide sa'yo to become the next billion-dollar company, ang gusto nila makita is yung dedication mo. Meaning that, are you going to work from Monday to Sunday? I'm not saying that you have to work your ass off. Work smarter, like you said.
Yeah.
Right? Work smarter. Diba? It doesn't mean that you're working harder, you're working smarter.
Yeah.
Right? Diba? Parang find a better way and use that.
To optimize
more efficiently.
Optimize your time.
There's so much access as far as like, funding or guidance. There's a lot of these accelerator programs that you can join. And again, it always boils down to the founders. How dedicated are you? How do you sell your product? How much do you believe in your product? And that comes through when you go to interviews with these accelerator programs. It comes through. And these founders or these investors can see it.
Nice. Okay.
And that's how they choose.
Yeah, now that you mentioned the founders and all that, now let's shift into the POV of the CEO, the troubled CEO. Baka may mga troubled for sure. Lagi naman, diba? Pag sinabi ng CEO, akala nila bossing na. Pero alam natin yan na the work never ends if you're on top, actually. So what is your piece of advice for them in these times? Maybe for both new, those who want to start fresh, and for those who have been have experienced it like you have. Like they've been in the industry and now this is like a new giant they have to face.
I always set an example that for my leaders in my organization, don't throw your people under the bus. Meaning you're responsible for whatever the people, your staff or your team does. Meaning like kung may kasalanan yung isang waiter, the manager should be responsible for that. You don't come to the boss and say like, ay, siya may kasalanan. And similarly, I would do the same. Any failure in my organization is my failure. I will not blame that on the person that was heading that business because I am on top of it. I should have known it. I should have seen it. Right? So really being focused and hands-on. So again, 2020 or this pandemic has put me into situations wherein, being hands-on became a little bit more difficult because we can't visit the store. So that's been hard on me.
Literally, hands off.
Also, when pagkausap ko yung mga staff ko, I actually lead by example, meaning I'll actually be there, show you how it's done, and teach them. And ngayon, parang hard. I have to tell them via Zoom, and then for some people, the newer hires that haven't met me, they don't know how we actually work. So we're losing touch on that.
Yeah.
But always just trying to be focused again, more than ever, etong pandemic, the heads have to be more visible. Right? We're the captains of a ship.
The ship.
Right? And nung nangyari itong pandemic, binagyo yung ship. Diba? As a captain, diba? Ikaw dapat ang last aalis, ikaw magde-direct, and the more that they see you, the more that they feel confident in the direction of where this company is going.
Yeah, the battle.
So parang we would remember all the people that stayed with us during this pandemic.
Aww.
We had to, certain salaries had to be cut, but sir, hindi, laban kami.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
And that's heartwarming, and sabi namin, we will not forget you. After this pandemic, once we get back on our feet, we'll go back to the good old days, right?
Yes. Incentives.
More than anyone, it's us that want to go back to the good old days, but like help us get.
Yes, help us get there. It's the teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, I mean,
But the
only
team
today we
leader, yeah.
incentivized restaurants. So we had a kind of like contest or prize
Ah,
for
nice.
people that get their branches fully vaccinated or at least 80%. So whoever gets their
Wow.
branches, so now cash incentive for them to kind
Nice.
of like, okay, we're all vaccinated, diba? So to encourage lang. And I think the government or some aspect of it is also doing something similar called bakuna program, bakuna benefits,
Yeah.
wherein once you get your injection, you can get discounts from all the stores. So I think
Yeah, been
incentivizing
seeing
helps
that.
talaga.
Nice. Okay. Wow. Very, very concrete examples. Any other maybe concrete anecdotes and examples you want to share? Maybe I know I asked you to prepare mga rise up stories mo from I don't know for maybe even when you were still I don't know a kid or like starting out in the industry, things you can
Yeah.
remember, just to like maybe uplift us also to everyone listening.
I think gaya ko
Be it
nga,
for yeah, kahit
a
anong
sentence,
industry.
I'll make a
Mm-mm.
small cuento
Okay,
of
go.
my life from the beginning. So
Okay.
just to give, hope to the other
Yeah.
people that are entering into business. I was never the studious kid,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was the makulit guy
Mm-hmm.
in school, always being sent to the back of the class making uh, a ruckus. At that
Mm-hmm.
time, I was being disruptive yung magulo. At that time, iba ang
Mm-hmm.
definition ng disruptive. But then
Yeah.
moving forward, you know, my kids, having my kids, I felt like a rise up moment for me. In the sense that
Oh.
until you realize, my parents would always say, alam mo, pag nagkaanak ka, marirealize mo rin yan, bakit kami ganito sa'yo. Then you have your own kid. And then you realize that you're now responsible for other people's lives and that they entrust you with their life and that you have to guide them. And that changes you entirely and to
Oh.
becoming like hardworking for the future and really doing that. And find that spark that will let you feel that way. And for
Yeah,
me, it's been my kid.
that will let you, diba sometimes kasi you need more reason than yourself. Diba?
Exactly. Eh kung ako lang,
Chill out. Let's chill out.
yeah,
Right.
diba, sometimes you look like, oy, sarap, diba? But if you're just thinking about yourself, like, wow. But then also the beauty or the joy of having kids is really different.
Oh, let's shout out naman. What are their names? If you're at least nicknames, maybe?
Yeah,
Or
so I have
shorty na lang.
Enzo and Ian.
Oh, hi Enzo and Ian. Hello. Shout out.
Shout out.
From Auntie Janina. Wow, Auntie na agad.
Oy,
Achi na lang.
ati
Achi na
muna.
lang. Oh, anyway, realities of life. No. Okay, so that's very interesting. I love that little rise up moment. And yeah, I guess just to transition, I think we're gonna be releasing this around Father's Day. Also,
Okay.
sinakto namin talaga. No? Okay, so wow, how is life as a dad now? And maybe for those either young parents listening, tips for
Best.
them.
It's the
Ah,
most
talaga ba?
fulfilling
Oh,
job
nice.
ever.
Aw.
Again, this pandemic also brought good things.
Oh.
Unprecedented family time,
Mhm.
right? If we were back in 2019 and 2020 didn't happen, I would be out in restaurants working my ass off, seeing my kids
Mm.
only probably 2 to 3 hour windows a day,
Yeah.
and not have seen them grow.
Yeah.
Now I see them every day, see them grow, and like guide them. Really, now you're literally guiding them into how
Mhm.
they're gonna trend or tread this world, this new world,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's been the best part, for me, this pandemic that brought unprecedented family time for my kids and to guide them into this new world that we're living in, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Yes, family time is very, very important. Keeps us all
Family,
sane.
right?
Abdi, hello. Nice, nice. Okay, so how has just a follow up question for the parenting side? I know homeschooling has been tough for some parents. What are your homeschooling tips? Diba sometimes sabi nila feeling nila sila na yung teacher or what?
Yeah.
Paano ba yun?
No, but totoo. That's real. That's real. But yun nga, I say I hear my wife in the morning screaming with my son, and I have to tell my son, how's your teacher, mommy? Mommy is not good. In reality, you're really seeing strain. Back in the day, when
Oh,
you're sending the kids, bahala yung teacher sa kanila,
oo nga.
right?
That's what the
So, ang
tuition's for.
nag-aaway is normally yung teacher tsaka yung student. Ngayon, it's the teacher and the mom. So it's tough, but knowing where to draw the line that, after class, making sure to medyo bawi ka naman as a parent to them, that you're being hard on them because you're in school with, sa madali na nga lang yun eh. they're,
Mm-hmm.
they're online na nga lang eh, right?
Oh, yeah.
If they had to, if like before kung paano tayo, diba? We're not really being tough on them, but just making sure that, we also become parents and treat them rewards, I think is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, may
And
rewards
acknowledgement of the good
program.
job.
Rewards program pa, babies pa lang.
I mean, we're Chinese, acknowledgement from the elders is very rare to us. They're not very emotional to us. So that's a
Oh,
change that I've been trying to do and be more acknowledging to our kids and be like, oh, hey, you're doing a good job, but,
nice.
and how to improve.
Okay, love it. Yes, yes. Well, you did mention that, like the Chinese,
Tough love
Filipino
ang ano eh.
Chinese.
Tough love ang
Yeah.
Chinese. Diba?
Oo nga, tough love. Galingan mo. You can do better. Prove to me you are worthy.
Yeah,
But yeah, just coming off from that tone, what are some of, for you, like the most valuable traits and lessons you've learned from your parents that maybe you, I don't know, maybe you wish you knew sooner or applied sooner in life?
When they said, always save for a rainy day, then the
No.
pandemic happened. And this is the
Talaga.
rainy day that everyone was talking about.
Yes. Hindi pwedeng gastos lang ng
Right?
gastos.
Before, it's like, save for a rainy day. But when was that rainy day? Well, ito yung rainy day, this pandemic, this unprecedented
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully you save money, so that's good. But yeah, my parents always taught us to be very hands-on. Again, I repeated this earlier in our interviews that, never be complacent and rest on your laurels. So
Yes.
there's always someone out there to beat you, right?
Yeah.
And then, once you're on top, it's harder to stay there. So be sure that you're focused on what you do and to maintain that, right?
Okay. So
Know that someone's gonna be there and try to beat you. So always be prepared.
always be prepared. Parang just the sound of that, no? Nakakapagod. So sa mga
Easier
moments,
said than done, though.
yeah, sa mga moments like that, na mga, I'm sure we're all human. You get tired too. What do you tell yourself? Or like, do you guys like have team building pa ba? Sa family
I
and
go
stuff?
out into the ocean, look at fish.
Ay, one fish, para you caught the fish. And then, no, paano nga ba? Really, nature tripping for you.
Yeah,
Is
nature
this
has been
the
like,
key?
I've never been like, I've been a city boy ever since. I see buildings every day. Never knew the beauty of the Philippines, nearby Manila, especially at that. Like the salt water and the ocean, the sun, and that's why it was important for me at least to move out of that cramped space that we had, so good move to the province.
Nice, nice. We're taking notes.
And before it was never an option, right?
Yes,
I think
you
now,
couldn't think about it.
given the pandemic, like everything's now an option.
Yeah, much as we can. Oh, that's so nice. Okay, so always save for a rainy day. Rest if you have to, diba? Like get your dose of sun and energy and endorphins, family time, but go back to the purpose,
Yeah.
to the drive, and know that you're serving a bigger purpose, right? More than yourself.
Right.
And yeah, it will all be worth it, right? Sometimes, no? Sometimes it's hard when
We
you're
hope.
like, will this all be worth it? Diba? Minsan parang it feels like one big challenge after another na parang hindi na natatapos. Diba? How about yung pinaka-overwhelming moments? What do you do?
I realize is that, I've always had yung stressful moments, yung anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and realize that you have done this before, you've felt this before, you know that you will overcome.
Mhm.
And again, family helped a lot, seeing my kids like, okay, tomorrow will be a better day, right?
Yeah. Okay. Always
Don't be
hold
too
on to
hard on
that.
yourself, I guess.
Yeah, don't be too hard on
Especially now
yourself.
with the pandemic, I believe in like, our mental health is to be acknowledged, to understand that people get stressed, people get, what was that word, languished?
Yeah, language. Parang
So,
nauumay na.
yung parang
Diba?
you don't know, you feel like blah.
Blah, meh.
Like, what is
Diba?
this?
What is life?
I acknowledge that. Kasi before, diba, parang when they look at mental health, it's like, hindi, wala lang yan. Uminom ka lang, tulog mo lang yan. But it's a reality,
It's a reality.
right? Anxiety, it's something that we can't control. It's just everything around it that affects us.
Nice. Okay. Okay, well, wrapping things up now, what would, at the mga slam book quotes, what would you tell your younger self? Like what
Oh,
lesson or I don't know, reassuring message would you tell your younger self?
um, I will tell my younger self, do what you did, but a little less.
Well, how so? In what way? What do you mean little less?
Don't be so
So,
naughty. Don't be so naughty.
don't
Parang
be so naughty.
you can do what you did, but like a little lang ano na. Tone it down a little bit, and you'll still be
Relax.
the same person you are today.
Oh, okay, okay. That's so cool. Okay, so ayan, this has been really like a refreshing conversation and very, very inspiring. And at the same time, you really gave talagang concrete tips, concrete parang lessons,
Thank you,
life
thank you.
lessons. So thank you so much for that. I feel like I also para akong nag-class dito. So I'm sure all of our listeners feel the same way too. It's always like, diba, our life is our classroom and it
True.
just comes in many forms and one of it is this podcast. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for your time, Eric.
Thank you
And
always, Janina.
yeah, soon enough magkahanap na rin ako ng bahay sa beach. Ang saya. So
Soon enough, hopefully, we can see each other and we can
yeah.
be merry like the good old days.
Yes. Shout out to your beautiful family, your beautiful wife, and
Thank you, thank
everyone
you.
there. Yeah, hope to see you soon, sooner than later. And yeah, I guess by now it'll be around Happy Father's Day na rin. So happy Father's Day
Thank
to
you.
all the
Thank you,
dads
thank you,
listening.
Janina.
So also to all the families listening out there, we also have something very special. I know it's around Father's Day season. So it's kind of like our little tribute program to all the dads out there. You can check out Dad DIY, but it's pronounced as Daddy. When you see it on the screens, it's very cute, pun intended. So it's Daddy Academy with Carl D, and they will also be having their Father's Day special episode with Richard Yap and Chris Tew. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be very, very exciting. If you're listening via Spotify, please do share the love, share this via your IG stories and tag me and Eric and Rise Up with Janeena Chan, and also give us a great review via Apple Podcasts, the maximum stars, please. Okay, we'll see you again next time. And once again, rise up any chance you get. Bye.